Now, before we get back to our normal program, here's a message from our sponsors.
Do you have family in BC, Alberta, or Saskatchewan? Tired of waiting days, weeks, or months to hear from them? Try the new Magic Everyday Telephone. Within seconds, you could be connected to them, chatting the day away. No more hand cramps from writing 10-page long letters. No more ink spills that take hours to clean up. No more getting interrupted by the children wanting you to do something. You have 2 free hands. Buy your telephone at your local appliance store today. Now you're on the trolley.
Now, back to our schedule report.
Since its creation, the Charleston has been the bee's knees. No matter where you go, there will always be someone performing it.
That's weird, Samuel. I thought the Charleston has been banned in most dance halls.
Well, it has been banned in most dance halls all over Canada. That has not stopped its uprising popularity, which is kind of weird, don't you think? I mean, it's only been popular with Bearcats and Flapper Girls, right?
Actually, I was surprised too, but apparently even some of the older folk in their 30s and 40s are getting into it. When we asked people through a poll what they thought of it, most said it was the cat pajamas. And gosh darn, the most spiffiest dance they've ever seen. Or they thought it was terrible, that it should be a capper, or that it was corrupting the youth.
I heard about that poll. How did this dance become so well known? I mean, it seems ridiculous to think that the dance suddenly appeared all over the country.
Well, apparently, its rising popularity came from what was featured in a Broadway show, Running Wild.
Oh yeah, I saw that when it came out. Man, that was such a good show. But wait, if it's so popular, then why does it keep on getting banned in dance halls?
Samuel, you and I may not understand, but before our time, the only dances were in 4/4 time, and the women wore long dresses. What those flappers wear is scandalous and completely inappropriate if you ask me.
I don't know about that, Robert. I think this new dance is revolutionary, and maybe having women show a little bit of leg isn't a bad thing. It'll bring on a new age.
Samuel, what are you talking about? Sure, it brings on a new age, but that age will be indecency and horror. They call the Charleston the dance that brings buildings down, for a good reason, you know.
They call it what?
The dance that brings down buildings. All around Canada and the US, dance halls that show the Charleston are getting burnt down by angry townfolk. Also, renting for the Flapper Girls is nearly impossible nowadays, at least in a good neighborhood. Most of them live on the outskirts of towns or in cities, or in the cheap inner city neighborhoods.
Man, it must be really hard on them.
Why don't we go to our reporter in the field who's talking to a Flapper Girl right now?
We have an interesting guest with us today. Her name is Mary Lewis, and she is what is known as a Flapper Girl. Mary is going to answer some questions that we have for her, and then she will answer some more questions that the listeners at home have. Mary, what do you think of the term Flapper Girl?
I think it's berries. Before I became a flapper, I was a canceled stamp, but now look at me. I'm all dolled up. I mean, I'm a dame. After this, I'm going to the gin mill and drinking some giggly water. Then I'm gonna go dancing and hit all the sixes.
That's a very interesting view on the name. Can't say I've heard it put in those words before.
And how, Walter? And how?
So, Mary, the main reason that I've asked you to be on the show today was to get your opinion on one recent law that has been put into play.
Walter, I don't concern myself with the news. I mean, it's for saps. My friends and I mostly beat gums, if you know what I mean.
Well, Mary, this might concern you. The law states that women wearing a skirt or a dress that is 3 or more inches above their ankle can be fined.
Says you? Is this the real McCoy, Walter?
I'm afraid to say that this is in fact true. Do you care to explain your feelings on the subject?
I've got some beef to say about that. Adults are so balled up, they don't know when to beat it. Let me tell you something, Walter. I am a flapper. Every night I put on the Ritz, I bob my hair, and I get into my glad rags. Then I spent the whole night at a joint. How am I supposed to do that when I can't wear my nifty... How am I supposed to do that when I can't wear my nifty Hoover clothing? And now, with this law, I'm on the lam. But I'll tell you this, Walter. The fuzz is gonna have a hard time pinching me. I go to the gin mill nightly, and no dick knows where it is.
But surely some folk will be happy about this law.
Yes, Walter, but those people are all dappers, their wives, and conservatives. They have no idea what it's like to be a flapper. They're all dumb Doras.
Well, Mary, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but most of the listeners at home are just as you described. Which brings me to the next point, a question mailed to us. Mary, what would be your advice to our listeners who are concerned about their children dressing and acting this way?
Well, I don't think it's any of their beeswax, really. But if they care so much, then they should just do what my dapper did. Become a fire extinguisher. That way you always know where your kids are.
That's some good advice. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, Mary.
That's fine, Walter. I've got to get a waggle on. I've got a blind date with the fish later today.
That sounds like a swell time. For the folks out there listening, tune in next week when we interview one of the painters from the group of 7. Bye for now.
Bye!